like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic to sex?
This woman tried to trap me.
I mean, it's like
sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom. I said, "Is it a no-latex condom?" He told me no. I said, "We better off not." No, never mind. I'll just do it anyway.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, "Well, I just want to tell you something." She was like, "Well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you."
her best friend told you
This
that.
is what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yeah.
Things kick off with Mr. Montgomery, who's all like, Miss Parker tricked me into thinking I was Timothy's dad. But now Miss Parker's flipping the story, saying he's not the father. So he's like, let's do a DNA test. Oh, this is about to get wild.
You say Miss Parker led you to believe that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Timothy Montgomery. You say you were present at the birth, named the baby, signed the birth certificate, but now Miss Parker says you're not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Montgomery is here pouring his heart out like it's some kind of romance movie, insisting he's Timothy's dad. Timothy is his son, and he's not ready to let this go. But just wait until Miss Parker drops her side of the story.
I believe I'm the father because, I loved her. Me and her were together. We were sexually active.
You too.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I just believe, firmly that this is my son. I was there, through the pregnancy and signed the birth certificate. And what the funny part is,
because
she
I thought
allowed
he
me
was
to name
your
the son after my deceased father.
Miss Parker's story just took a hard left turn as she admits there's another possible dad in the mix. This love triangle just turned into a math problem.
I thought he was the father.
You did?
Yeah, because he looked just like Mark in the ultrasounds.
So during the ultrasounds, you felt like they resembled?
Yeah, they looked just like him, and I believed that he was the father.
Miss Parker's dropping bombshells, admitting she was with both guys at the same time, making paternity a big guessing game. And Miss Parker doesn't seem like she's done spilling the tea.
I had sex with both of them around the same time and the same day.
You're talking about one of these 3D ultrasounds? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. I had one of those, and I know what you're saying when you look at baby and you pick out features and you say, oh, I think he kind of resembles, but there's no way that if you were sleeping with another man during the window of conception.
Mr. Montgomery went all out, basically moving mountains to be with Miss Parker, and the crowd can't believe it. You've got to feel for the guy. This is just the beginning.
I left everything I knew in Cleveland, my family. I had a good paying job that I had, and, left my family, my friends, everything I ever knew behind so I can go down there, be the best father and family man that I could possibly be for her, her kids, and my son.
Yeah.
Miss Parker, meanwhile, says she was kind of fed up with Mr. Lanou, always ignoring her for his Xbox, so she found herself looking for attention. Everyone in the courtroom is shaking their heads by now, wondering where this will lead next.
So talk to me about how you were in a relationship with 2 different men.
I was with Mark. He was always on Xbox. He wouldn't even have sex with me during the whole pregnancy because he felt weird.
First met, it wasn't even like that. He wasn't even in the picture.
Right here.
You are
He done left.
He pried on my girlfriend when I was
One
with
at
her.
a time.
Now, Mr. Lanou and Mr. Montgomery are throwing shade about who's really supporting the baby financially, and it's messy. The competition between these two just keeps getting more intense.
I have a job.
Where's all this money going?
It's going to him.
No, it's
going
not.
to
I have
him.
not once
Trust and
got
believe,
it.
my son will have what he needs.
Putting diapers on his
because
buying
you snuck
formula,
behind
buying
my back
clothes.
and you bit on my girl, homie.
Before you got pregnant, you ended up with Mr. Lanou, right?
The first time he had left, throughout the whole time,
Yeah,
even
broke up
told
with
him
me.
that we were sleeping together after he came back.
Mr. Montgomery's really been holding back here, but he finally admits he kind of suspected Miss Parker was seeing Mr. Lanou on the side. The truth is creeping closer and closer.
Before Timothy was born, no, I had my suspicions, but I had never had, concrete evidence that they was actually sleeping around.
Clearly, Miss Parker, you're sleeping with both men.
Yeah.
At a certain point. You end up in the hospital having your baby. How is it that Mr. Montgomery ends up in the hospital with you?
I didn't know it was a possibility that Lanou would have been the father of Timothy.
Get your tissues, because Mr. Montgomery is reliving the happiest moment of his life, and he held Timothy at birth. But Miss Parker's about to come in with some ice-cold reality.
Sitting there, I'm holding him for the first time, I bring him to, her face, so she can see him because she had a C-section. I'm sitting there crying. I even told myself that, when he was born, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. Was I nervous? No, I was excited because the simple fact of the matter, I was told that I was gonna be and unlike most men, I was damn proud to hear that I was gonna be a father.
Miss Parker confesses that she waited weeks after Timothy's birth to tell Mr. Montgomery that he might not be the dad, and his reaction says it all. Mr. Lanou is waiting to share his own side of the story, and it's about to get even messier.
I told him, and then
3 weeks after he was born.
But this is because during that time, Your Honor, that he had threatened to Timothy.
Your Honor, she
without
told
her
me
knowledge,
this in the bed.
take him to Cleveland.
First time she was able to have sex after the baby was born, she waited until after we were done to sit, you know, I don't think you're the father. I think, you know, Luke's the father. And I'm still laying in the bed with this woman naked.
Mr. Lanou explains how he stayed cool and didn't go to the hospital, even though he knew there'd be a fight if he did. But Timothy's paternity still isn't set in stone, and the drama's not over.
I actually was going to show up to the hospital, but for her and that unborn child refused to because I know that it would have caused a disturbance between me and him.
You knew
I didn't have
that you
a
had been
choice.
sleeping with her.
A man always has
Did
a
you
choice.
know there was a distinct possibility that you could be this
Absolutely,
child's
Your Honor,
father?
and I even
I
previously
told him
on
it
Facebook.
wasn't because I didn't want to believe it.
Miss Parker shocks everyone, admitting she was cheating on Mr. Lanou left and right while they were together, which makes this all feel like a soap opera. But with the DNA results coming up, they're about to get some real answers.
What other fact do you have that support your belief that this child is Mr. Lanou's?
It's just I cheated the whole time I was with Mark. And
But I cheated.
You did cheat.
Okay.
It's
what?
also
I
the
did
fact that
cheat
he's
because you
tried
cheated on
conceiving
me.
children, 2 other women who, until he left, could not conceive a child.
The results come out and hit like a sledgehammer.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Montgomery, you are not the father.
Wow, this story kicks off wild right from the start. Miss Herman is in court to prove that Mr. Houston is the father of her son Corey. But get ready, this tale is only just beginning.
Miss Herman, you are here to prove that Mr. Houston is the biological father of your 2-year-old son Corey. You contend the defendant duped you and was living a double life. Mr. Houston, you claim that you are not the biological father of Miss Herman's son and will clear your name when the results are read.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, bam! Miss Herman explains how she found out Mr. Houston was married while she was already pregnant. With her detective skills in full gear, Miss Herman is about to make this courtroom a whole lot more interesting.
I like to call this the investigadget stage. That's what I do. So during the time I was pregnant, I had told Mr. Houston that I was pregnant. He said that he would be there for me and my child. After 2 doctor's appointments, he stopped showing up. So I got a little suspicious. Got my investigation glasses on, you know, and I found out via Facebook that he has a wife and children.
Mr. Houston really doubles down, saying he had no reason to tell her he was married. Like that little fact didn't matter. The judge is already over this eyebrow drama, but trust me, there's way more eyebrow-raising stuff to come.
You know, anything I got going on before I met her wasn't her business. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't curious about the extra stuff. I was more curious about getting to know who she was.
So your marriage and your kids and your wife were all extra things?
No, it wasn't extra at all. It was just something that I didn't communicate with her.
This part is downright awkward as Mr. Houston tries to dodge the question about using protection. But things are about to get a whole lot stickier as Mr. Houston tries to explain himself.
But you didn't use protection when you were sleeping with her.
You did not.
Did you tell
not.
me?
Don't lie. You did not use. He did not use a condom, Your Honor. He did not.
Yana.
No. The answer is no. Don't let
Yana.
him lie to you. The answer is no. No. He
The
did
night
not.
that-
No.
Mr. Houston's version of their meeting is so casual, it sounds like he's describing grabbing lunch. He claims he was just interested in getting to know her, not aiming for anything serious, like, oh, having a kid. Miss Herman's expression says it all. She's about to spill more details he forgot to mention.
I had a homie that just got married. You know, we were celebrating his marriage, you know. I met her. She seemed like she was out of her comfort zone, you know. She wasn't supposed to be there, you know what I mean? So I approached her. I said, hey, how you doing? You know, we started communicating. She told me her name. I let her know who I was.
He did, Your Honor. Don't let him
I didn't
lie
let-
to you. When he do that thing with his eyebrows, he's lying.
When Miss Herman reveals they were together for a month and a half, the drama level in the room doubles. And just when you think it couldn't get messier, in steps Mr. Houston's wife with her own version of the story.
About a month and a half, when I found out I was pregnant, told Cortez that I was pregnant, and he didn't say anything on the other line of that phone. He said, are you for real? I said, yes, I'm for real. Then he promised that he would be there throughout the whole pregnancy, not just 2 doctors.
At what point do you discover that he has a wife? Are you already pregnant?
Yes.
Here comes Mrs. Houston, and she's not here to play nice. But hang on, because these 2 women have even more to say, and Mr. Houston's day is about to go downhill fast.
How did you find out about Miss Herman?
The way I discovered, you know, they were doing whatever was a message came in his phone. When I have the baby, I want to move in with you. I'm looking like, who the hell is this? And what is she talking about? So somebody is trying to get answers and he like playing dumb, you know, wouldn't tell me the truth about it. So eventually I end up calling the number and I talked to her.
The drama goes off the charts starts as Mrs. Houston tells everyone she and Miss Herman were pregnant at the same time. But Mr. Houston's about to pull out a deep reason for his actions that'll leave you scratching your head.
You know, he said he's going to be there for me and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, so you're pregnant. I'm pregnant too. So how does that work? Like,
See, I'm in the business of making babies. You know, I have every reason to extend my bloodline. Let me let you know,
And now, Mr. Houston gives a reason for his actions that's as surprising as it is confusing. The judge isn't having it and tells him making babies isn't the way to heal his loss. But don't worry, Mr. Houston isn't done with his wild excuses just yet.
Exactly.
And you thought by making more children,
I'll be connected with my father.
You will be connecting with your father. At the end of the day, you do have to understand that when you bring children into the world with paternity questions, that's not being a superhero. That's not being the kind of father you say you lost.
Mr. Houston's next excuse is one for the history books, claiming he skipped the condom because he's allergic to latex. The judge looks ready to scream as she tries to get him to own up to his choices.
I don't like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic
This
to
woman
sex?
tried to trap
No,
me.
I mean, it's like sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom, I said, is it a no-latex condom? He told me no. I said, we better off not. No, never mind, I'll just do it anyway.
And then things heat up even more as Miss Herman accuses Mr. Houston of barely being in Corey's life. Finally, it's time for the DNA results that could blow everything up.
Ms. Herman, Mr. Houston testified that he wants to be a dad. Has he been a dad to Corey?
No, he doesn't do anything for Corey at all.
This woman's full of lies today. I don't know why.
So what
Can you
have
show
you
you
done?
a receipt?
I made sure that I had his first pair of shoes. I got him some booties. I did everything that I was supposed to do as far as making sure he had car seats. I did all those things.
This moment right here, it's the jaw dropper everyone was waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Houston, you are not the father.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus. I ain't gotta talk to this man not no more.
Oh, here we go. Things get intense right away. Mr. Razor and Mr. Hunt, who are siblings, decide to sue their parents for a paternity test. But there's way more to this story. Just wait till you hear about the argument that got this whole mess started.
You and your brother, Mr. Hunt, are suing your mother and your father for a paternity test. You claim that just 2 weeks ago they dropped a bomb during an argument. You say in the heat of the moment they inadvertently revealed possible your dad, Mr. Jacobs, is not biological father.
Buckle up, because here Mr. Hunt steps up and says he actually heard his dad's "not your real dad" comment loud and clear, and he was left totally mind blown. Things are only getting messier from here as the family drama keeps unfolding.
Mr. Hunt, you'd like to add something?
Yes, Yana, I was sitting in the living room playing video games with my set, and it messed me up. And when he walked out the house, I was sitting there in a state of, me and my friends actually, and I was just sitting there like
we was having a get together. Everybody was at the house.
Yes, I did, Your Honor, but I don't believe my children heard the whole comment.
Emotions are all over the place as Ms. Razor steps up, hurt and upset, and starts talking about all the times her dad was there for her, from graduations to big life moments. Hold tight, because Ms. Ham is about to get grilled for answers next.
I'm 26 years old, okay? This is the only man that I know. How many men do you know sit in a delivery room with their daughter when they're having a baby, okay? For you to make that statement, and for him to, is there something that you need to tell me? Maybe.
Just when you think this family drama is as complicated as it gets, Ms. Ham drops a new bomb. She doesn't actually know who Precious's father is. Now with Tommy thrown into the mix, family's confusion hits a whole new level. But just wait till Tommy gets involved.
Because I don't know, Precious. I just don't know. Who's the possibility? That man Tommy that grandma said that might be my father that I look like? The whole neighborhood talks about this Tommy person that she's supposed to be dealing with. But I never doubted the fact that he was my father because he's always been there no matter what.
Here's a twist no one saw coming. Mr. Farmer, aka Uncle Tommy, joins in remotely and admits he had a relationship with Ms. Ham back in the day, leaving the siblings even more bewildered. The drama is thick in the air as they all hold their breath, waiting for the DNA test results.
Did you have a relationship with Miss Hammond?
Oh, this your brother.
Yes, we had a physical relationship. It wasn't a relationship.
You call that your brother.
Were you intimate with Mr. Farmer? Is what he's saying true?
That's Uncle Tommy. That's just nasty.
Wow.
That is not my father.
Ms. Ham casually confirms that, yeah, she and Mr. Farmer were involved 26 years ago, which means he could totally be Precious's dad, but definitely not Hector's. It's about to get real because the DNA results are right around the corner, and nobody is ready for what's coming next.
So you do admit that you had a sexual relationship with Mr. Farmer some 26 years ago?
Yes,
around the time Precious was conceived, during the time Heck was conceived.
No, ma'am.
So potentially, he could only be Miss Razor's father.
Yes.
Precious is holding back tears as she reveals how desperately she needs the truth about who her dad is, especially since she's getting married soon. And here we are, with the results about to come out. And you know things are going to hit hard.
These are my children, and and no matter what the results is, they're gonna respect their mother, and they're gonna respect me. Okay.
And I was going to get married in January. I tried so hard. Give me a DNA test so I could find out the truth. I didn't know that it was going to be this big.
The DNA test results are finally revealed. And surprise,
As it pertains to 26-year-old Precious Razor, Mr. Farmer,
Yes.
you are not
Yes!
her father.
Oh, my God. Oh! Oh, my God.
whoa, this is a wild start. Mr. Haynes drags Miss Manning into court, claiming he's definitely the dad of her daughter, Zoe, even though Miss Manning now says, nope, you're not. And just when you think it can't get crazier, they toss even more surprising facts at each other.
Mr. Haynes, you have brought Ms. Manning court today to prove that you are the father of her 4-year-old daughter, Zoe. You say Ms. Manning initially told you that you were Zoe's dad, but now is claiming you are not her father.
It's only getting more confusing here, folks. Miss Manning explains her timeline, claiming that Zoe was conceived after she and Mr. Haynes had already called it quits. Just wait, things are about to get even more. What?
Miss Manning sent me a picture. I thought it was my son at first. It was actually Zoe. Took a picture of my son and I compared it, and that's when she was my child.
And why do you feel you know that for certain?
Zoe was conceived at the end of October and we had already broken up.
It's like watching a ping pong match of parent confusion here. Mr. Haynes remembers Miss Manning saying he was the father, then changing her mind over and over again. And you won't believe the next set of wild mixed messages.
She said I was the father multiple times. Then she also told me I wasn't the father multiple times. So first met when I was getting a tattoo, and it was at residence, and we only dated for a short period of time until she ended the relationship. So I ended up moving on, got with my ex now, my son's mom.
This back and forth is exhausting, even for the judge, but after 4 years of mixed signals, both of them are at their wits' end. And get ready, because another possible dad just popped into the mix.
I had a baby and it's a possibility she's yours.
And so he said, send me a picture, and that's what you sent. And once he acknowledged that, yes, I believe this is my daughter, what did you say?
I've never told him he was the father, and I've never told him he wasn't the father. It's always been, there's a possibility. And the fact that he's waited 4 years to take a paternity test is what irritates me.
The confusion just keeps snowballing here. When asked if he's been part of Zoe's life, Mr. Haynes says he's tried, but Miss Manning only allowed him to be a friend of the family for Zoe's sake. And now, Mr. Haynes brings a timeline to show he's been trying all along.
Have you tried to be a father at all to Zoe, Mr. Haynes? Have you been a part of her life? She's 4.
I have tried to reach out to her. I have talked to her once, and when I did talk to her, Miss Manning told me not to mention that I was the father. She just told me to keep, I'm a family friend of the family, so.
Keeping up with this timeline is like trying to follow spaghetti noodles. It's all over the place. The judge points out the endless cycle of yes, no, maybe, and everyone's left dizzy. And if you thought it was done, hold on, because Miss Manning's got something to say next.
You submitted a timeline to the court.
March of 2014 is when I received the photo, Zoe, but like I told you guys just previous that I thought it was my son. Then I found out it wasn't.
And you felt like she sent you the picture because she was your child.
Yes.
So you're thinking you are the father.
Yes.
Things get even juicier with the next witness. Mr. Haynes' girlfriend, Ms. Wickwire, his current girlfriend, steps up and backs up Mr. Haynes, saying Miss Manning has repeatedly changed her mind on who the dad is. This story keeps twisting like a soap opera.
First off,
what
Your Honor,
testimony do you have?
We've been together for 2.5 years. She has repeatedly sent him messages saying that he is the father and isn't the father. She's dragging him through hell, pretty much. When he is the father, he's
Your Honor,
happy and wants to
I don't
actually try and
understand
take...
how I'm dragging him through hell when it's been, there's a possibility, let's get a DNA test.
Now the judge is practically begging for Miss Manning to let Mr. Haynes have a chance with Zoe. The stakes are sky high, and everyone's waiting to see how this ends.
So have you encouraged a relationship between Mr. Haynes and Zoe?
No.
And why is that?
I would rather have proof that he is her father instead of them building a relationship and him not being the father.
You really believe it's the man that's on the birth certificate, already acknowledged paternity, but has allowed you to have full custody and doesn't really want to be part of raising her?
Yes.
This is a roller coaster of emotion as both parties share their hopes. Both clearly want the best for Zoe, and it's tough to watch them struggle. We're on the edge here. The final DNA answer is coming.
Do you hope Mr. Haynes is her biological father?
Yes.
So even though your gut says to you, do not think he's the father, what are your hopes, Mr. Haynes?
I just want to find out the truth because it's been almost 4 years of going back and forth that I'm the father. So I just want the proof.
And you want to be her father?
Yes.
It's DNA time, and the result is a jaw-dropper.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Haynes, you are not father.
Whoa, this case got messy real fast. Mr. Lester's like, nope, not mine. You had other guys around then. Things already look dicey, and we're just getting started.
Mr. Lester, you say that you and Ms. Moyet were never in a relationship and that she had multiple sex partners during her time of conception, so you are 100% certain that you are not father of baby Nyla.
You won't believe the pettiness in this part. Miss Moyet says Mr. Lester's support so far includes a few diapers and one onesie for a boy. But trust me, these two are just getting warmed up.
Mr. Lester has hardly been involved in Nyla's life. Besides the fact of 3 cases of diapers, a onesie that he bought for her, which was a boy outfit. Other than that, me and my mother have been providing food, milk, and everything and things like that. I also have evidence here showing you food, cribs,
Let me see that evidence.
And things took a weird turn when Miss Moyet shared how she planned this pregnancy by showing up at Mr. Lester's house on her special day. The drama was thick in the air, and it was only about to get thicker.
I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over his house the day I was ovulating, and I let him know I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent Nyla. To make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla.
The tension really hit high gear as the judge dug into their relationship timeline. The judge tells them both that not using protection isn't exactly smart, and oh boy, we can feel where this is going.
What she's saying is you were having unprotected sex with her then, and even since this child's birth, you're still having unprotected sex with her, that you are a possible father.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So do you agree that you had with her during the time when Nyla was conceived?
Yes, I did.
The cringe level spikes when Mr. Lester starts listing all the reasons he thinks he's not the dad. But let's be real, this was barely making his case stronger.
My first doubt, when I first met Miss Moyet, she told me her name was Mia. Come to find out her name was Iris. I left her name in my contents as Mia because she was always missing in action. She told me out of her own mouth she had a boyfriend. She didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her, and that's better than me. And I asked her, well, why you calling me tonight?
The courtroom vibes hit awkward as Mr. Lester claims they always use protection. Miss Moyet fires back, no, we didn't. She looks at the judge like, why would I lie about this? The judge just sighs, clearly over their back and forth, as things start getting even more confusing.
We always had protected sex.
We had protected sex, Your Honor.
Mr. and I have never had protected sex.
Only I know how old I am, and I know what sex leads to. And I just want to point out to you the percentages having babies and how it declines.
Some more research.
Yes.
This part's where Judge Lake hits us with some real talk, and it's actually kind of sweet. It's like she's giving life advice while still knee-deep in all this drama.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know when you say you had the love of an older man, it was filling a void you felt for not having the love of your father. You were saying that. Regardless of what this result is today, I don't want you running around behind him. Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're better than that, and you deserve more than that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right?
The big moment everyone's been waiting for is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lester, you are Nyla's father.
Yes! Yes!
Didn't
I tell you?
You need to be respectful.
Didn't I tell you?
Oh boy, buckle up because this case starts wild and only gets crazier. With that opening, things are about to get heated and totally messy.
Mr. Dark, you say the defendant is a promiscuous liar who broke your heart 4 years ago, stepping out on your then relationship. You admit to having a one-night stand with her 2 years ago, but are furious Ms. Bailey is now claiming you fathered her 11-month-old son, which you say is impossible.
This backstory is like the soap opera you never asked for. for. You just know that's going to come back around and bite someone later.
We was in a relationship for about 4 years. Everything was okay. Everything was pretty good when I first met her. Some good conversations about establishing us a family and probably having kids. We lived together at that time. I left to go out of town to do some work. Went to Florida to do some work in Florida. While I was going to Florida to do some work, I talked to Miss Bailey about almost every day.
Get ready, because here comes the I cheated, because you cheated circus act. And trust me, that's not even the half of it. Things are just warming up.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, I just want to tell you something. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
Her best friend told you
This
that?
is what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yeah.
This is where it all starts getting wilder, with Mr. Dark basically saying, wait, do the math. Suddenly, we've got more questions than answers, and Mr. Dark's math skills are being put to the test big time.
With the calculation and the date she's using, Mr. Dark, you're saying this would only been 8 months.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you believe she was already pregnant when you all were intimate in March?
She had to be already pregnant. And so I guess I was just a crutch.
Whatever.
From the beginning, I was there at the hospital when Jameer was born, even with my doubt, because in the back of my mind, I didn't never want to feel like, okay, he really was my son and I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do as a father.
The birth certificate story is a doozy, because Mr. Dark says he only signed it because Ms. Bailey pressured him big time. He's now totally regretting that decision, and we're all wondering what this could mean when the DNA results come in.
And the reason why I signed the birth certificate, to answer your question, is because you told me at the hospital that if I didn't sign it right then I wouldn't have another opportunity to sign it. That's what you told me right there at the hospital.
I didn't force you to sign it. You
If
signed it on your own.
Sign it, what was gonna happen? He won't have your last name. You won't get to sign it. Did you not say that? You know you said that.
I did not tell you that. No, I said, okay, if you don't sign it, okay, that's on you.
If you thought this was a one-time drama, think again. Ms. Bailey's got a history. Now he's wondering if this is a repeat performance, and everyone in the courtroom is starting to question what's really going on here.
Ms. Bailey, have you been in a paternity situation before?
I have, with my ex.
So one of your other children, there was a paternity question surrounding that?
Yes, that he wasn't.
The biological father. Do you know who your child's biological father?
Yes, I do.
History is repeating itself in this moment for you.
Oh, and just when you thought this couldn't get any messier, here comes Mr. Dark's current girlfriend with her own opinions. Now, we've got love triangles, timelines, and all sorts of drama flying around the courtroom, just like a daytime TV show.
First, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him.
So you do not feel like there is a physical resemblance?
No. Well, my due date is November 19th. My conception date is February 24th.
And we're now 1 year later, but what you're saying is that you have a similar due date.
Even though he's got doubts, Mr. Dark says he's been there for Jameer anyway, taking him to family gatherings and giving him some dad time. But even with all this family drama, he's trying to be a responsible guy, and the big DNA test is just around the corner.
Jameer is 11 months old. What has been your relationship?
I was in Jameer's life. I've been a part of his life. I've kept him. I took him to Alabama with me when I went to my granny's funeral last month. And my whole family said that that's not your child.
So when Jameer with you to your family member's funeral.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge doesn't mince words here, laying down some tough truths about legal responsibility. It's a serious moment, and you can see Mr. Dark wondering if he should have brought a calculator to figure this all out sooner.
But Judge, I just it's so much she say I don't want to do for him. I bought him probably like about 15 ones when he first was born and some
Did not
stuff.
buy him nothing.
And I took him to her or whatever, but
it
because of the fact
was
that
already won for someone
because
else.
of the fact gave me these things or whatever,
Okay,
but
so
it
why
was
would you
because
say
her baby never won.
Well, let me be clear.
It's finally time for the big reveal, and let's just say it does not disappoint. The DNA results come in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
He left me for an older woman, and I feel that she put it in his head that it's not his from the beginning because she thought I was messing around with some dude at her party.
Did come to my house with another guy.
Yeah, I wasn't messing around with him.
You were dry humping on the side of my house.
He was just dancing
Were
like
you?
this or whatever.
There was no dancing at that
anyways,
party.
My mother is absolutely to blame. You know, I was born to the most irresponsible, selfish. You know, she already had a 3-year-old when I was born. So my mother should have known better not to be sleeping with multiple people at the same time. First 10 years of my life, I didn't even have a picture of this man.
Well then let's pull up my Facebook page and let her.
Let's do that. Let Chris fight his own battles instead of letting you just.
How about that?
It's none of your business. What's going on in the courtroom?
Yes, that's my nephew and I raised him.
I don't care.
That was his son.
Just like him out, bucket.
Can you even handle this? Miss Morrow spills the beans that she's been bamboozled about who her dad is for a whopping 30 years. She struts into court to figure out if her bio dad is the guy she's been calling Pops or his bro, Mr. Curry. Buckle up, folks. It's about to get juicier.
Ms. Morrow, you say you've been living a lie 30 years. You stand before the court today ready to finally find out whether your biological father is the man you grew up believing to be your dad, or if his brother, the defendant, Mr. Curry, is your father.
All right, grab your popcorn. Mr. Curry drops a bombshell, admitting to a one-night stand with Miss Morrow's mom, tossing a wrench into the whole "who's your daddy" drama. He's skeptical about being the father, because plot twist, there could be other contenders. Just when you thought it was complicated enough, there's more ahead.
Now, Mr. Curry, you admit to sleeping with the plaintiff's mother one time after a wild night of partying. But you say you don't believe you're her biological father because there were other possibilities as well.
Whoa, did you catch that? The crowd gasps louder than my Aunt Mabel at a surprise party as Miss Morrow unveils this crazy tale of her real origin, full of twists that would make a pretzel jealous. Next up, things heat up even more.
The man that I thought was my biological father did a DNA test himself after 30 years. It came back that he wasn't my father. I lived this lie thinking that he was my father. I never met him until I was about 7 years old at a court hearing for child support or something. My mother brought me with her. I briefly stepped off the elevator. She said, "Amanda, this is your father."
Just when you're trying to catch a breath, Judge Lake and Miss Morrow get into the deep stuff, chatting about her non-existent relationship with the dude she thought was her dad. Emotional baggage alert. But wait, there's another curveball coming right up.
My mother said that when she was pregnant, he walked away, that he didn't want anything to do with me. So I never had a father on my birth certificate, never had a father in my life, but I always knew.
You see, my
You
brother always...
understood him to be your father. That's the person you thought.
My brother always believed that he was her father, until just recently, when he got this DNA test done. That's when I found out that apparently he wasn't either.
You gotta hear this one. The DNA test mess-up saga continues as Miss Morrow explains the epic fail of how her supposed dad botched the mailing of his sample. Yep, it sat in his car like an old fast food wrapper. Brace yourselves. The results are up next, and they're a doozy.
And he told me he left it in the car for 2 weeks, and then when he mailed it, it got mailed back to him because there wasn't enough postage on it. And then he mailed me my part of the kit, so that's when this all started. When he mailed me the part for me, he mailed me two samples. One for my mother, one for me. So Dave bought a DNA test because he always had questionable doubts. You know, he said he's my father, but he just wanted proof. I have a DNA kit here. I'm sending in my sample.
Bet you didn't see this coming. Mr. Curry confesses he did indeed have a fling with Miss Morrow's mom, which might just make the family tree a lot more tangled. As the plot thickens, the DNA test results are about to drop some major truth bombs.
I slept with her one time.
You slept with Ms. Morrow's mother.
Correct. Then I introduced her at a party to my brother, which she started sleeping with him.
Like, why not say, I don't know who your father is? Why say this David Curry is my father? From the time 15, you let me meet him, go to his mother's funeral. So she told me on the phone. I kind of was like, you know, it hit me. I was upset. I mailed it in overnight. I told David I mailed it in. He still didn't pay for the payment.
The suspense is eliminating me. Everyone's on edge as the court waits for the DNA results that could end this family mystery once and for all. And I'm telling you, the results are about to shake things up big time.
His niece told me, listen, you need to talk to Uncle Ken. And he told me that. But what I want to know is why nobody told me this when you met me the first time, that you slept with my mother. You know, well, when I was 16.
See, the issue with me is only the one time, and then introducing her mother a couple of weeks.
This is the big reveal, folks.
Amanda, Mr. Kenneth Curry is not your father.
Buckle up, Buttercup. The session kicks off with Clark versus Newbie lighting up the screen. The judge gives a warm welcome, rolls out the red carpet of legal jargon, and lays down the scoop. Ms. Clark is adamant that Mr. Newbie is the daddy, but he's not buying any of it without a receipt. Grab your popcorn, because this is just the appetizer.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newbie, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newbie is denying paternity.
Hold the phone. Mr. Newbie isn't taking this lying down. He claims Ms. Clark was playing the field when the baby-making music was playing. He drops a bombshell. He'd fight for custody if the tyke is his, calling out Ms. Clark on her mommy merits. Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpy.
You say the plaintiff was involved with another man at the time she became pregnant. You do not believe you are the father of her child and claim it has nothing to do with your new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner. You also say if the baby is yours, you will fight for custody because you believe the plaintiff is an unfit mother.
Oh boy, the gloves are off now. Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of ditching her for a cougar, causing the courtroom to erupt like a high school cafeteria. The judge has to play the cool principal simmer down the sass. Watch out, because the next bit has more twists than a pretzel factory.
He left me for an older woman, and I feel that she put it in his head that it's not his from the beginning because she thought I was messing around with some dude at her party.
Did come to my house with another guy.
Yeah, I wasn't messing around with him.
You were dry humping on the side of my house.
He was just dancing
Were
like
you?
this or whatever.
There was no dancing at that party.
Let's get some order.
Grab the tissues, folks. Ms. Clark opens up a can of emotional whoop-ass, sharing her rough ride with drugs and family tragedies. It's a tale that tugs at the heartstrings, peaking with her fears of abandonment when Mr. Newby bailed. Stick around! The emotional roller coaster has a few more loops.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but we were together for 3 months. He was in drug use. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, and I am ashamed of that because, and then I went to jail though for 3 months, and while I was in there, I had time to think that I want to be clean for me and my son,
Yes.
so.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, bam, DNA test drama. Mr. Newby wanted a paternity test from the get-go, but Ms. Clark wasn't having any of it. The plot thickens and the stakes are high. The next reveal is a doozy, so don't wander off now.
At first, when I asked about the DNA test, when we first found out she was pregnant, I was like, okay, yeah, I want a DNA test. She was okay with it. And then after the baby's born, I asked for it. She freaks out, doesn't want to do it all of a sudden.
Is that true? Yes, that is true because I felt my baby was conceived the time that we were together. It wasn't conceived when I was with that other dude because I was only with that dude for a week.
Things are heating up as Mr. Newby talks big game about taking custody if he's the papa. He's questioning Ms. Clark's ability to mom it up, making this a key moment that could change everything. The tension's mounting, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Please tell me why you feel this way.
How are you gonna be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' body,
Okay, but I
like
went
that
to jail
baby had
and
to
I'm
go
clean
through that
now,
for no
so-
reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Now, Ms. Clark admitted that was absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that.
It's the moment of truth. Time to drop the mic.
When it comes to 3-month-old baby Richard, Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this is a wild start. Mrs. Ching Long lays it all out there. She's been in the dark about her dad, Mr. Otis, who supposedly died in a fire. Her mom, Ms. Baroob, never pinned down who her dad was, which pretty much made her childhood a big old question mark. She's here today, DNA test in hand, hoping to finally get some answers about whether Mr. Otis really is her biological dad. You won't believe what's coming up next.
You claim you've never had a chance to know the man you believe is your father because he was tragically killed in a fire. You claim you've struggled for many years because your mother, Ms. Barabee, never established paternity for you as a child, created an unstable home environment, and left you with a lifetime of unanswered questions.
Get ready for a tearjerker moment. The courtroom dives into why Mr. Otis's family doubts Autumn's story, all because they think her mom wasn't playing ball back in the day. To add to the drama, the case got rushed because Mr. Otis's mom is sick and wants to know if Autumn is her grandkid before it's too late. Hold tight, because the next bit is a doozy.
Now, members of the Otis family are also in court today and will join us shortly. Your possible grandmother and uncle claim your mother was never willing to submit to a DNA test and thus have doubts. And she wants to know if you're really her granddaughter before she passes away.
Here's where the gloves come off. Autumn doesn't hold back one bit. She calls out her mom for a lifetime of poor decisions that left her fatherless. She's spilling all the tea about her mom's messy love life and how it's left her without a dad to call her own. The air's getting spicy, and it's only going to heat up from here.
My mother is absolutely to blame. I was born to the most irresponsible, selfish. She already had a 3-year-old when I was born, so my mother should have known better not to be sleeping with multiple people at the same time. First 10 years of my life, I didn't even have a picture of this man. We moved back to finally so I could meet him for the first time. He had passed away 2 years earlier.
Things are heating up now. In a fiery exchange, Ms. Baroob claims she did her best to connect Autumn with her dad, despite life throwing curveballs her way. Autumn's not having it, though. She's upset that some random guy's name is on her birth certificate. certificate instead of her real dad's. Stick around, because the next part is a real jaw-dropper.
He got in a relationship with a really bad person. I got married to a very controlling man. My ex-husband moved me 1,700 miles to Arkansas.
My birth certificate doesn't have his name on it. It has somebody else's name that she was with at the time of my birth.
I was living with.
She was living with. So she always says.
So it's not your stepfather. It's not who
It was
you've
my
been
first
told is your
relationship
biological father.
before her father.
It's a third person.
No, this is my first boyfriend.
Oh, the drama intensifies. The court probes into why Autumn never got to meet her dad, and it's a he said she said mess about who kept whom from whom. Who? Emotions are flying high as everyone's throwing accusations around about past choices that messed up Autumn's sense of who her family really is. You'll want to see what happens next. It's a real cliffhanger.
I told you my mother's delusional. She'll never own up to anything, and that's why we're in this predicament.
I'm the one that you're talking about. Own up.
We had moved back to Sacramento, California, which is where I was born and where we're from. She had told me, hey, you're finally gonna get to meet your dad. You know, this was 1999. I was 10 years old. Whenever we would try to contact him, turns out he had passed away 2 years earlier in the fire. How can I be sad for somebody that I don't know and that I don't know for sure if it's my father?
Now things get real crunchy. Ms. Myers and Mr. Otis step up to dish their side of the story, and boy, do they have a lot to say. They're peeved about being left out of Autumn's life, blaming Ms. Baroob for the cold shoulder. This family tea is scalding hot, and the reveal of the paternity test results is just around the corner. You're gonna flip.
He was in labor. When James got home from work, he said, Valerie's having the baby, but we can't go. We don't know where she's at. And I said, well, she told me we couldn't go. So I didn't see the baby until she was about 2 months old.
I never called them.
Then how did we know you
I didn't even have their number.
She'll never
moved
own
around
up to
everywhere with
anything,
Sherry.
though. She finally faced the truth.
The whole thing.
Okay, let's get some order in the court.
I tried to have paternity tests done from the get-go. I offered to pay for it.
Grab your popcorn, here comes the big reveal. The moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results are in. And guess what?
In the case of Autumn Chinglong, Mrs. Chinglong, James Otis was your father.
So here's Mr. Ahmad on cloud 9 about being a dad to little Nevaeh. He spills the beans about his joy at fatherhood. Then, bam, Ms. Day drops a bombshell that maybe, just maybe, another dude could be the dad. Ahmad's here in court to sort out this daddy dilemma. Brace yourself, because it's just the start of the soap opera.
Mr. Ahmad, you say you were overjoyed to be a father after the birth of your first child, 22-month-old Nevaeh. However, you claim that you were crushed when the defendant later told you another man could be her dad. You are here today to prove you are Nevaeh's father.
Talk about a plot twist. Ms. Day steps up and confesses that she's been unsure about Ahmad's dad's status from the get-go. She's all set to prove that another man is the real daddy-o today. Stick around, because things are about to get even spicier.
Ms. Day, you say that you were honest with Mr. Ahmad and told him from the beginning that you did not believe he was Nevaeh's dad. You plan to prove another man is Nevaeh's father today.
Get your tissues ready for this heart-tugger. Ahmad opens up about his previous tragic loss due to an ectopic pregnancy, making Nevaeh like a second shot at fatherhood. This guy waited 40 years to be a dad, and now he's wrapped up in a paternity pickle. You won't believe what comes next.
And so you found out she was pregnant and you were excited because this was your very first child.
Yes. And also, I've had a situation before where, I had lost a child because of an ectopic pregnancy. This was like my second chance, to have a child. 40 years to have a child. Now I come to find out that there could be a possibility that it's not mine.
Hold the phone. In a no-chill moment, Ms. Day sets the record straight. When she first told Ahmad about the bun in the oven, she was like, he might be yours or not. Talk about leaving a guy hanging. Keep watching. The drama ramps up from here.
And how I found out she was pregnant, she came one morning and then knocked on my window and said, well, I need to talk to you. And she says, well, I'm pregnant. This is your child.
No, I didn't say she was yours. I said she might be yours and she might not.
I really wasn't in love with Mr. Ahmad, but he was a good friend. We were having a sexual relationship. He looked after me and I needed somebody to look after me at that point.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think it can't get crazier, enter the birth certificate brouhaha. Ms. Day claims she asked Ahmad to hold off on signing until they were sure about paternity, but Ahmad went full steam ahead anyway. What was he thinking? Fasten your seatbelts, because there's more chaos to come.
When Nevaeh was born, were you present, Mr. Ahmad?
I was present the entire time she was pregnant. I cut the umbilical cord. I signed the birth certificate. After the baby was born, we left the hospital together. Matter of fact, her mother picked me up to go have when the baby was being delivered. Her own mother drove me to the hospital.
Here comes the judge with the receipts. Social media posts show Ms. Day singing Ahmad's praises as a stand-up guy and soon-to-be dad. These posts seem to say, Ahmad's the dad, no takebacks. But wait till you see how these posts stir the pot even even more.
We found some very interesting posts. It says, "Happy Father's Day to my child's father. Even though she's not here yet, he's already amazing. I'm proud to call him mine."
That's because he was there. He was there. He wanted to be her father. So
that was before she was born.
Yes.
Yikes. Talk about complicated. The courtroom learns Ms. Day's been juggling both Mr. Ahmad and Mr. Flowers. Each guy has played daddy in their own time. It's like a reality show with more court orders. Don't miss what happens next. It's a real jaw-dropper.
If you truly believe Mr. Ahmad is not her biological father, why worry him at all?
I don't call him. I barely ever ask him for anything. Mr. Flowers is my best friend, and he's always been there before me, before I even had a kid.
I'm out of this situation now, and my main deal is, what is the paternity of my baby? I say she's my baby.
And here it is, folks, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Flowers.
You won't believe this opener. Ms. Stanley hauls Mr. Williams into court, demanding a paternity test to prove he's not the dad of 3-year-old Ryan Alexander. Despite their previous fling, she's sure the test will clear things up. Buckle up, it's just starting to get juicy.
Miss Stanley, you have dragged your former fling, Mr. Williams, to court for a paternity test to prove he did not father your 3-year-old son, Ryan Alexander. You admit to being intimate at the time of conception, but say today's results will prove your son does not have his DNA.
Here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Williams steps up, totally convinced that little Ryan Alexander is his mini-me. He throws shade, suggesting Ms. Stanley is pushing him out because her new beau doesn't want him in the picture. Wait till you see what's up next.
Mr. Williams, you say baby Ryan Alexander is the most important person in your life and claim the only reason Ms. Stanley is doubting that Ryan Alexander is your son is because she has a new man in her life and doesn't want you around. You're here with your Aunt Mary, who says she has proof to show that Ryan Alexander is your biological child.
Things are heating up. Enter Ms. Combs, rocking up with what she claims is solid proof that Ryan is indeed Mr. Williams' kiddo. She talks about Ms. Stanley's supposed wedding plans with Mr. Williams like it's some soap opera plot twist. Keep your eyes peeled. The drama's about to escalate.
I have proof of that, ma'am. Where she was texting me off of Facebook, asked me if I was Chris's aunt and that they were going to get married, and she wanted me to do the wedding because I am a community chaplain. And I told her, yeah, and she asked me how much would I charge. I told her nothing because it's my nephew. She's nothing but about wanting somebody to try to use.
Whoa, things are really flying now. The court turns into a hot mess as everyone starts throwing accusations like confetti. Judge Lake has to step in to calm the storm and keep everyone on track. You ain't seen nothing yet?
Oh, well then let's pull up my Facebook page and let her...
Let's do that. Let Chris fight his own battles instead of letting you do.
No, how about that?
None of your business. What's going on in the courtroom?
Yes, that's my nephew and I raised him.
I don't care.
If that was his son,
just like him out, but
Grab your popcorn, this part's a doozy. A fiery debate breaks out over some fishy messages that Ms. Stanley allegedly sent. She accuses Mr. Williams of sneaking into her Facebook. The plot thickens, and oh boy, it gets better.
So where do you think these messages are coming from?
maybe because he had access to my cell phone.
that didn't come from cell phone, baby doll. It came from the messages that you sent me on Facebook, and it's even got the dates on there.
Exactly, access to my Facebook, which is downloaded on my phone.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure.
Hold the phone. Now we dive into the day Ryan was born. And guess what? Mr. Williams was MIA. Not even a text. The back and forth about why he wasn't at the birth adds another layer to this soap opera. The next revelation is a real kicker.
So, Mr. Williams, were you there when Ryan Alexander was born?
No, ma'am, I wasn't, because for one, she wouldn't even let me know she was having an emergency C-section at the hospital. I didn't know nothing about it the next day.
It's kind of hard to let you know anything, Mr. Williams, whenever I was put
You're
under
wrong.
station.
You're wrong.
Did you not inform him on purpose?
I did not inform him on purpose.
Here's a twist for ya. Mrs. Stanley drops a bombshell, admitting she was also seeing another guy when Ryan was conceived. He bets he's the real dad. Things are getting tangled, and what comes next is even more startling.
Clearly you were in a relationship with another man as well during that
Yes,
time.
Your Honor.
Do you think he's the father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor, because I had slept with him more than I slept with Mr. Williams.
You're a straight low-down liar.
Whoever she could be with that would give her whatever they could get, because she would...
So now, Miss
yes,
Cole,
sure
Miss
was.
Cole, calm
You
down.
don't-
We're not going to start arguing across the aisle anymore.
And here's the grand finale. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Williams, you are not his father.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Mrs. Chappelle kicks things off by staking her claim that Mr. Todd is definitely the dad of her daughter, Alicia. She suspects that Tad's denial is all thanks to his fiancée, Ms. Cullen, who doesn't seem too keen on her man hanging around Chappelle.
Ms. Chappelle, you say the defendant, Mr. Todd, is without a doubt your daughter, Walicia's biological father. You say the only reason he denies her is because his fiancée, Ms. Collins, doesn't want him in your life.
Ms. Chappelle hits Mr. Todd with a lawsuit for a whopping $2,475, all because she's drowning in babysitting bills and missed work wages ever since Todd stopped watching the kiddo.
Now you're suing Mr. Todd for $2,475 for babysitting expenses for lost wages.
As the room heats up, both parties clash with Ms. Chappelle, whipping out some paperwork to prove her points. Mr. Todd counters, denying he ever babysat or even knew about Ms. Chappelle's job.
Because I had a job, Your Honor, and he was babysitting the baby for me. I had to start paying $75 a week for babysitting fees and lost wages, so I had to quit my job, and I don't have a job anymore. And here's my papers right here.
I have never watched her baby, Your Honor. I don't even know when she had a job. I ain't never saw it with no, you never watched Walicia.
Mr. Todd dishes out why he thinks he can't be Walicia's dad, mainly because Ms. Chappelle was playing the field when Walicia was conceived.
Because at the time, she was messing around with other guys, and by me being young and just doing crazy stuff, I go and mess with her at the same time too, so she was messing with men. But this one never my girl. I was in a relationship with someone, so that she fell in
So what
love.
you're saying, it was an understanding that you all unprotected sex, but that you also were having sex with other people.
Ms. Cullens recounts a spicy tale about how Ms. Chappelle allegedly went all-action hero on her car windows. She's got receipts and a police report to back up her story of shattered glass and high drama.
On a particular day, I had dropped Mr. Todd off to pick up his phone.
Lies.
Actually, Miss Chappelle stole his phone.
I bought him a phone, you
Chappelle approached me and bust my window out of my car. Called the police on the scene. I have proof and I have a police report that she bust my windows out on my car.
Do you have that evidence here today?
I do, ma'am.
Ms. Cullens explains the living arrangement soap opera. They let Ms. Chappelle crash with them to sort out the baby daddy drama via a DNA test because Mr. Todd had his doubts.
When I first met Miss Chappelle, with me and Mr. Todd, we let her move in.
You let Miss Chappelle move into the house with you two?
Yes, because where she was living at was not healthy for her, the baby. And when I had a conversation with Mr. Todd, he said, this is a girl trying to put a baby on me. Test to see if this is your baby. Therefore, that we can move forward with. It didn't work out that way.
A witness jumps into the fray, defending Ms. Chappelle's claim and detailing the timeline of her pregnancies, including when she started seeing Mr. Todd. This witness is here to stir the pot.
While she was carrying, after she delivered that other baby, then she ended up pregnant by him, which is Walicia, who looked just like him. But this young lady, I don't know nothing about her. I don't know her because she wasn't nowhere around when these two started messing around. He was on his first baby mama. That's who he was messing with at the time when he was messing with my daughter.
Oh.
The big moment hits as Judge Lake unveils the DNA results.
Ms. Chappelle, you came in suing the defendant for $2,475 in lost wages because you said he would not babysit for the child and you lost your job. And now, since we've determined that in fact Walicia is not his biological child, to babysit for this child, for that reason your claim is denied. Judgment for the defendant.
I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. I want to make sure.
You have doubts?
Because if I have doubts and that is my brother, baby, I still want to be there.
No,
my
because
brother's
I
not
don't
there
want you to
for
be there.
him.
If you have doubts, there's no need for you to be in my child's life.
That's exactly why my brother said he didn't know.
I asked her mother that Jasmine was my firstborn, and that was good enough for me, Your Honor. We went on and had 4 more children after that, and they all belong to me. Now, my point in here, he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook or whatever. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other.
She said her and her husband does a good job of taking
Fiance,
care.
and he do.
No,
and
that's,
he do.
That's a text
and he
that
do.
was sent
and he do.
to me.
He has been a much better father than Quincy.
So,
trust that, because he stepped up. My daughter is going to call him dad. Quincy never been around.
Mrs. Thayer kicks off by hoping to glue what's left of her marriage back together. And boy, does she mean business. She's here to prove that Mr. Thayer is indeed the daddy-o of not one, but 2 munchkins, Cadence and Matthew Jr. Sounds like a Maury episode, doesn't it?
Ms. Thayer, you are here today in hopes of saving what is left of your marriage. In doing so, you've summoned your husband, Mr. Thayer, to paternity court to prove that not only did he father your 19-month-old daughter, Cadence, also your 3-year-old son, Matthew Jr.
Mr. Thayer's on stage with trust trust issues thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. He's ready to hit the divorce button if the kiddos turn out not to be his. Talk about drama.
You say you absolutely do not trust your wife, and you are prepared to get a divorce today when the results reveal that either one or both kids are not yours.
We don't even have sex anymore. What married couple doesn't have sex? We're young. The back and forth arguing all the time. We argue so much that my son starting to get mad and yell and repeat some of the stuff that we say.
Oh yeah, they did. The Thayers initially signed up for a no-strings-attached fling, and now look where that got them. This backstory is juicier than a season finale cliffhanger.
So this doubt is wreaking havoc in your marriage.
Yeah, in my mind, we're basically separated because we don't sleep in the same room no more. When we're around each other, she's on her phone. We just sit in the same house and we don't even communicate no more. I don't feel that connection with her. Or the kids, for that matter.
All of this is because of the doubts regard to the paternity of the two youngest children.
Ms. Thayer hit Mr. Thayer with the "Ol' I'm pregnant" surprise, and suddenly things got real. This wasn't in their casual fling contract, folks.
At some point, you find out you're pregnant.
Yes, I didn't know what to say because I wasn't planning on having any more kids. I mean, I had 3 girls already, so I was already a single mom.
Were you all using protection?
No.
Fail to plan to fail.
And then I believe she was pregnant before we even got together. Because Matthew was born 3 weeks early. She told me about 3 weeks in that she was pregnant.
The emotional gloves are off, and these two are throwing accusations like confetti at a parade. Mr. Thayer's doubting the entire timeline, and honestly, who can blame him?
But you claim she was with somebody else approximately 3 weeks before.
It hurts. I mean, I love him or I wouldn't have married him. This is the person that I want to spend my life with.
This is my first child too, Your Honor. I was excited because I didn't have no kids, I didn't have a family or anything, and she was gonna give that to me. That I can grow with and I can watch them grow and I can teach them all the things that they're supposed to do in their life that I didn't do in mine.
Cue the suspicion music because Mr. Thayer can't figure out how they made baby Cadence when the bedroom's been colder than a penguin's toenails. Yep, he went there.
Your doubt surrounding Cadence. That is your younger child. You all have 2 children together, potentially.
Yeah, because around the time that she was conceived, we weren't really having sex.
Find out she's pregnant again and immediately doubt.
How are we gonna have a kid if we don't have sex?
So you testified earlier, Ms. Thayer, that you were in a sexless marriage.
Yes. I mean, when he's talking about with Cadence.
The results are in, and oh snap, it's not looking good for Ms. Thayer. The machine tagged her as more deceptive than a fox in a henhouse.
You'd like to tell us before I read these results.
Like I said, the only people that I messed with was during the break that we had that he's talking about where I moved out.
Ms. Thayer, you were asked, in the last 4 years, have you had sexual contact with anyone other than the 2 men you have previously disclosed? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
Drum rolls, please.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Thayer, you are the father.
I told you.
One of them.
I told you.
We still need Matthew.
You won't believe this. The crowd goes wild when Ms. Moore throws shade, claiming Mr. Butler's wife is playing puppet master with his doubts. Ms. Moore is all fired up, telling everyone that the only reason Mr. Butler is second-guessing fatherhood is because of his wife's sneaky ways, causing quite the stir among the audience. And guess what? The drama's just getting started.
Mr. Butler has doubts he fathered your 1-year-old daughter, and that's because of his manipulating wife. Mr. Butler, you argue you've been told on multiple occasions by the plaintiff herself that you are not her child's father.
Oh snap. Here comes Mr. Butler with his own side of the story, doubting he's the daddy because Ms. Moore once told him he wasn't. He lays it out, recounting times Ms. Moore straight up denied his paternity, which gets the judge digging deeper. Buckle up because the roller coaster is about to drop.
One time was because he was harassing me, him and his so-called quote-unquote wife.
So you admit, Ms. Moore, you told him you're not the child's father?
One time.
It's happened because she told me I'm not the dad, she told me I'm not the father.
Why would she tell you that?
The baby don't even look like me.
This just got real. Ms. Moore and Ms. Harrison are now locking horns over whether Mr. Butler did his part as a dad. The clash heats up over some juicy texts about another dude stepping up as dad, showing just how messy this situation is. Keep your eyes peeled because there's more tea coming your way.
And
that's a text that was sent to me.
He has been a much better father than Quincy.
So,
trust that.
My husband do a good job keeping me and...
Because he stepped up. My daughter is going to call him dad. Quincy never been around.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. We're diving into the nitty-gritty of the pregnancy timeline, the court questioning when exactly Ms. Moore got pregnant. This critical convo throws some serious doubt on Mr. Butler's paternity claims. The plot thickens, and you'll want to stick around for the next twist.
The baby looked just like Quincy. Now, if she can't do the math, that's her problem. She needs to sit down. December 11th, the doctor told me I was 7.5 weeks.
And the baby was born
July 26th. I had 2 dates. I had an emergency C-section on July 26th. Was Quincy anywhere to be around? No.
Tell me.
Here's a heart tugger for you. Ms. Moore shares the tough tale of her labor and the emergency C-section. It's a crucial point that highlights just how intense things were during the birth, with Mr. Butler nowhere in sight. The emotions are high, and the next part is sure to tug at your heartstrings even more.
My doctor came in and told me that my baby's heart rate was going down. She was getting less oxygen. I did not see my baby. I went to an emergency C-section. Out of recovery for 45 minutes, I touched my baby and signed my baby off, which is the city that he stays in. I did not tell him where my baby was. I know how mental he is.
Can you feel the drama heating up? Mr. Butler confesses he's torn about his role in his maybe daughter's life amidst the ongoing feud with the two leading ladies. His admission sheds light on his personal turmoil and the tangled web of emotions surrounding the paternity mystery. And hold tight, because the truth bomb is just about to be dropped.
That's because it's being tugged on.
I'm playing tug of war. If it's come back to be my daughter, I'm not gonna never see her.
And what is it you feel like Ms. Moore wanted to be with you, and since that didn't work out, Zamar's her way of getting back at you?
Yes, ma'am.
Here it comes, big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Butler, you are her father.
Buckle up, folks. Ms. Sherman kicks things off by accusing Ms. Costello of mooching off her sad aunt both emotionally and financially. She's adamant that Ms. Costello is claiming her late brother fathered Ms. Costello's kiddo, and she's here to stop her aunt from spending a dime on a kid that might not be related. Stick around. It's just getting juicy.
Ms. Sherman, you claim the defendant is taking advantage of your grieving aunt emotionally and financially by claiming your deceased brother is her child's father. You need today's results because you won't allow your aunt to support a child who is not your brother's.
Things are heating up. We dive into the emotional deep end. Ms. Costello spills the beans about how supportive Ms. Thomas, the aunt, has been. Throwing baby showers, buying diapers, the works, all while denying she's taking advantage of anyone. She insists it's all on the up and up. Trust me, you'll want to see what's next.
My aunt threw Marissa a baby shower. She supports this baby financially, as in buying his diapers, his clothes, his food when he is at the house.
That's his family.
We don't know that.
To decide to
We don't
do
know
that.
that.
Erica was there with me at the hospital.
We don't know
when I had the baby. She videotaped the entire thing. And when Ryan was born, she saw the crown of his head and said, he is a Sherman.
Hold on to your popcorn. Ms. Costello lays out her love timeline like a soap opera, breakups, makeups, and everything in between. She details the roller coaster relationship with Ryan, adding layers of complication to the paternity drama. It's a hot mess and a half, and there's more chaos to come.
I found out I was pregnant in the middle of March. At that point in time, I contacted Ryan and I told him, hey, I think I'm pregnant. And at that point in time, he was like, well, is this my kid? And I said, well, I started to talk to somebody else. He started to talk to somebody else. And then towards the middle of, after me and the other guy had intercourse with each other, probably about a week later.
You're not ready for this twist. Ms. Sherman throws down the doubt card hard, fueled by rumors and whispers from her late brother about the baby's paternity. The convo takes a dive into their past flings and flirts, stirring up a paternity pot boiler you can't miss. The tea is piping hot and it's about to spill.
I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying?
You have doubts?
Because if I have doubts and that is my brother, baby, I still want to be there.
No,
my
because
brother's
I
not
don't
there
want you to
for
be
him.
there. If you have doubts, there's no need for you to be in my child's life.
That's exactly why my brother said he didn't know.
Guess what? The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Nalencia Sherman and Ryan Costello Sherman is 97.8%. You are related.
Yes! In a twist right off the bat, Ms. Osborne drops a bombshell, accusing her mom of fudging the truth about who her real dad is, insisting it's gotta be Billy Jack Fitzmaurice. They've even called in the big guns with a paternity test to settle this family feud once and for all. Buckle up, because this family roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Ms. Osborne, you have brought your mother to court because you claim she lied to you about the identity of your biological father. You are here to prove Billy Jack Fitzmaurice is your dad. Finally prove the truth. You you admit your daughter believed that Mr. Fitzmaurice was her dad, but now stand in court to prove that another man is her biological father.
When Savannah was just 12, out of the blue, her mom hints there might be another dad candidate on the scene. This bomb drops while they're chilling and watching TV, sparking a family drama that sends Savannah dialing her aunt for some serious backup. Grab your popcorn, folks. This soap opera's got more twists coming right up.
We were just sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden she looks at me, she says, you know, there's a possibility that another man could be your father.
And what was your reaction?
At the moment, I didn't know what to do. I kind of just left the room, went and called my aunt.
What happened?
Savannah was very upset because she thought that Billy, my brother, was not her father. I assured her that I believe 100% that Billy is her father.
Donna admits she let Savannah believe Billy was her pops because his family was stable enough to give her a good life. It's a bit of a whoopsie moment that opens a can of worms about family secrets and who's who. Hang tight, because there's more tea about to be spilled.
Yes, I told her that another guy could be her father, but I never told her that Billy Jack was her father.
For 12 years, who were you saying was her biological father?
I didn't say who was her father. And at the time his family took her in, I was young. I knew that they would have a good life for her, and they stepped up and asked to take her, and I knew that they could provide a better life for her at that time.
It's heating up as Donna spills the beans about juggling romances with Billy Jack and another mystery man during the crucial baby-making time. This confession tosses a wrench into the who's the daddy mystery, setting the stage for some major drama. Keep your eyes peeled. Plot's about to thicken.
Because I was back and forth between the two, I was with the other guy a lot more than I was with Billy Jack.
During the window of conception, you were sleeping with both men?
Yes. I just feel in my heart that the other guy is her father.
And I see you can't even look at your mother right now. You're not even turning your head.
Because I just want to know the truth of who my father is.
Savannah lays it all out, confronting her mom about the daddy dilemma that's been gnawing at her since she was 12. It's a full-on emotional unload where secrets spill and tears flow. This is some grade A drama. Guess what? It ain't over yet. There's more heart-to-hearts on the way.
It really feels horrible to not know who my real father is. After growing all these years to believe somebody else was my father, and it couldn't be.
I am sorry, Savannah. You was young. When you was 12, figured that you was old enough to be able to handle it. So I waited to help you because I didn't know how you would react being so young and me telling you that, if it would confuse you more.
You can almost hear the sad violins as Savannah talks about the pain of dragging her mom to court over this paternity pickle. It's a rough ride, and she's just looking for some honest answers. Don't go anywhere. Auntie's about to step into the spotlight, and she's got a story to tell.
At the end of the day, it must hurt that you had to drag your mother to court today.
Yes, it really does, but I need to know the truth. Brought up on a lie, I have to know.
Because the young woman you believe is your niece.
Yes, Savannah is my niece, and I love her dearly. And we were always told from day one from Donna that Savannah was I call her our baby, but our niece.
Auntie Brooks jumps in with a backstory that's part soap opera, part reality TV. She reminisces about the shock and awe of Donna joining the family under, let's say, colorful circumstances. The family saga unfolds with more layers than a reality TV show marathon. And yep, there's even more juicy bits to come.
So when he brought Donna home, we were a little shocked because at the time she was working as a stripper. We didn't know what to believe, but we believed my brother, Donna, both when they said that Billy was her biological father, that she was pregnant with Savannah, and that was our family.
I had told both men that I was pregnant.
And now we're talking about whether these sisters might have different dads, which just adds more spice to this already zesty family gumbo. The chat turns to similarities, suspicions, and family whispers that have everyone guessing. Stay tuned, because the DNA results are about to drop.
So growing up, you just felt like I have a sister, but we have two different fathers.
I also believe Billy could be her father.
Oh, really?
Because at the time that Donna conceived Miss Patton, she was also with my brother, back and forth between my brother and the other man. And I see similarities between Mrs. Patton, this is his other daughter here, Marissa, and Savannah.
And bam!
It has been determined by court. Ms. Brooks and Savannah are related.
Here we go. Miss Hayslip rolls up with a big claim, ready to stir the pot. She's here to prove that Mr. Hayslip, who she insists is her dad, really is her biological father. She's even brought her aunt along because, hey, you gotta have a cheer squad for moral support, right? This is just the opening act, folks. The scene is set for some real family drama.
You are seeking a DNA test to prove that Mr. Hayslip, the defendant, is your biological father. You've believed he is your biological father for many years, yet you say he has never allowed you into into his life at the time of your conception, but you claim you were always told that Mr. Hayslip was your father.
And bam, the plot thickens. Mr. Hayslip fires back, determined to prove he's not the father. He's been dishing out child support for 19 years, and now he's had enough. He even wants Miss Hayslip to drop his last name like it's hot, no matter what the test results say. Stick around, because you won't believe what he says happened to him next.
Now, Mr. Hayslip, you say you want to prove that Miss Hayslip is not your biological daughter today. You admit to being very angry because you claim you've been forced to pay child support for the past 19 years for a child you did not father, so that she no longer has yours after today's test results are revealed.
Yeah. Hold the phone. This just got juicy. Imagine minding your own business, driving, and boom, cops pull you over and drop a child support bomb on you. That's Mr. Hayslip's story, and he's sticking to it. He had no clue until a cop slapped cuffs on him and spilled the beans. What's next? Miss Hayslip's going to hit you right in the feels with her side of things.
I had moved from southern Michigan to northern Michigan. I was on my way back, about a 200-mile trip to southern Michigan. I was pulled over for speeding. He said, you have a failure to pay support.
And this was the first time you're driving along routine traffic stop and they say this to you?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, they handcuffed me, and when they did, I was pretty mad, and I struggled a little bit with him.
Grab your tissues! Miss Hayslip shares how she grew up always believing Mr. Hayslip was her dad, because, well, that's what her mom told her. Despite him being more ghost than dad, she hung on to that belief. But wait till you hear about the plot twist at school that cranks up the drama to a whole new level.
That you were told as a child.
As I was growing up, I knew David as my father. And then my mother would tell me that he had nothing to do with me, he never wanted anything to do with me, but was trying to get with her.
As a child, what's your first memory where your mother told you?
It was around 5 she told me that he could be my father, but earlier she always said David Hayslip.
Talk about a schoolyard scoop. Miss Hayslip and a girl named Courtney Hayslip discover they might be sisters. That's one heck of a how's your father moment, literally. They piece together their family puzzle right between math and lunch period. You won't believe the bombshell Miss Hayslip drops next about her stint in foster care.
I met one of the Hayslips in school, which is Courtney, and I told her that my dad was David, and she also said that was her father. And she went home to my Aunt Susie and told her that she met me. My Aunt Susie told the truth.
Up until that point, you all going to the same school and don't know you're
Your Honor.
potentially sisters?
Yes.
For a long time, they rode the same school bus and didn't even know it.
Here comes a heart-wrencher. Miss Hayslip throws down the big question. Why didn't Mr. Hayslip take her in, leading to her long years in foster care? It's a moment that could make onions cry. Just you wait until Mr. Hayslip spills the beans on his legal battles. It's a real doozy.
And then finally, after several months, she finally set it up to where that I could meet Celeste. My first impression of her, I thought she looked a lot like me when I was little. We had a bond that we had connected, and then we started getting close, and then her mother, a long time, and the next thing you know, they put her into foster care.
5.5 years.
I just want to know why, if you knew me back then, why didn't you try to get it taken care of back then?
Strap in for some legal labyrinth tales. Mr. Hayslip dives into how he's been duking it out with the law, trapped by a default paternity rule. He's convinced it's all a big mistake, but the drama is just heating up because his daughter Courtney is about to step into the spotlight with some skepticism of her own.
That's not even part of my family, and I fought, it's Cass County, Michigan. Every month, I have filed paperwork with them. They deny me. Since I didn't answer the letter, the original letter, for the blood, back then it was a blood test, then I was deemed the father by default.
Exactly.
And then they're saying there's nothing I can do to get a DNA test. For 18 years, I'm stuck paying social support no matter what, because I had a fling.
Cue the suspense music. Courtney Hayslip steps up and shares why she's not buying the sister story. Turns out Dad never mentioned anything about having another daughter. If secrets were a sport, Mr. Hayslip might be league champion. But hold on to your popcorn. The DNA results are up next, and it's a real cliffhanger.
Are you doubtful that she is your sister?
A little bit, because I've never been told about her, and I wouldn't think that he would deliberately try to hide something from the family if he knew it was his.
I had 2 other children from another mother. After my marriage had broken up,
Yes.
I had gotten with someone else. I did not hide those children from them or anything. I told them straight up, hey, you got a brother, you got a sister, here they are, let's meet them.
You can't make this stuff up. DNA results are in, and guess what?
In the case of Hayslip versus Hayslip, when it comes to Celeste Hayslip, Mr. Hayslip, you are her father.
So get this, Mr. Thompson strides in, totally convinced he's the dad. He's like, I've never met Ms. Robinson, but today's DNA test will totally show she's mine. Stick around to see how Mr. Fresneda reacts to that bomb.
Mr. Thompson, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Fresneda, to court to prove that you, not he, fathered Ms. Jasmine Robinson. You've never met Ms. Robinson, but say today you'll prove she's yours.
Plot twist. Mr. Thompson spills the beans about his past fling with Ms. Robinson's mom when Fresneda was out of the picture. He dipped out when Fresneda came back, but now he's all, she looks like me. The next bit will have you rolling.
Me and her mother had relations while Miss Fresneda was away. When Miss Fresneda came back into the picture, I stopped seeing Sonia and she was pregnant. Child was born. Family members came to me stating, that she looks like me and things of that nature. Sonia said no, she knows who she got pregnant by.
Here's the kicker. Thompson got a call that Robinson's mom passed away, and apparently her last wish was this paternity test. He's here with heart on sleeve, trying to prove he's the dad. Up next, Ms. Robinson drops her side of the story, and it's a doozy.
It's sorry to say, but, I got a phone call saying that she had passed away. And I was like,
Are you speaking of Jasmine's mother, Ms.
Yes,
Robinson's mother?
Yes. It was her wishes to say that it was Mr. Fresneda's baby. They raised her, but I'm here today to prove that I am the father. In my heart, she's my daughter.
So, Ms. Robinson's chilling one day when, boom, Mr. Thompson slides into her DMs back in 2010. Fast forward to 2015, he hits her up again with the big dad reveal. Wait till you see how Mr. Fresneda takes this news.
5 years later, 2015, he had reached out to me again. I have a copy of the Facebook message that he sent me saying like, hi, do you know who I am? And I had said no. And then that's when he had started explaining the situation of how he's supposed to be my dad and not George. And it was a big secret. And like everybody knew, but nobody said anything about it.
And here comes Mr. Fresneda, totally aware of the whole dad drama. He's wishing Thompson had just come to him first instead of going through Facebook. Things are about to get real spicy with Aunt Felicia stepping into the mix.
I asked her mother that Jasmine was my firstborn, and that was good enough for me, Your Honor. We went on and had 4 more children after that, and they all belong to me. Now my point in here, he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook or whatever. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other. He lives in one town and I live in another.
Hold on to your popcorn because Aunt Felicia is about to stir the pot. She's seen some family resemblances that she just can't ignore and thinks there might be more to the story. The DNA results are up next, and they're a real game changer.
Did she ever mention to you that Mr. Thompson could potentially be Ms. Robinson's father?
She always denied it. If we brought it to her attention, she always said that Ladden was not Jasmine's father. Because as Jasmine was growing up, I, as the aunt, started seeing a little difference in the children.
You did?
I did.
The moment of truth. Judge whips out the DNA results, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Thompson. You are her father.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
With me, in my home. She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
My son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Because if I have doubts that is my brother baby, I still want to be there.
Okay, buckle up, because this is one wild start. He's got major doubts about this whole thing and is ready to clear her son's name. You won't believe the twists that are coming.
Ms. Beaversdorf, you have opened your case against Mrs. James to prove that her deceased son, Daryl, is the biological father of your 4-year-old son, Dakari. You say that once you prove paternity, Mrs. James better accept you both or she will never see Dakari again.
This part is heavy, but you gotta hear it. Ms. Beversdorf's really feeling the sting of rejection, and she says it's hurting both her and her son. Next up, Mrs. James drops her side of the story, and it's, let's just say, intense.
It's the whole denial thing that's affecting my child and me. They don't accept him, they don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. And I just know once I get these test results and everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have that is his father. I never want him to doubt that.
Oh boy, here we go. Mrs. James brings up some major suspicions and is not holding back. Ms. Beversdorf is like, no way, I was faithful. But Mrs. James isn't buying it, and you'll want to hear her next accusation.
You say the doubts were brought because of Ms. Beversdorf?
Because of the relationship that they beheld in the time that he was with her. They always fighting, her seeing other people in between the breakup.
Nobody has proof of that though. I've never been seen with anybody else.
But when you were living in the house with us,
anything.
you're gone 2 weeks.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Mrs. James throws in another bombshell. But Ms. Beversdorf is holding her ground, swearing she knows exactly who the dad is. You'd think that'd be enough, but oh no, there's more coming.
And I'm like, where's Kayla?
No, I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
My
With someone
sister,
else?
at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your house, she came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave. That was my...
Do you remember that incident, Ms.
No.
Beversdorf?
I know who my baby dad is.
How long were you together, you and Mr. Stevenson?
4.5 years.
Now, here's where things get really awkward. Still, Mrs. James is far from convinced, and her next point is even spicier.
The next week she came back to your honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Ms. James know that?
You and him then had a fight. She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back. Next thing I know, her and my son sitting in my kitchen telling me she's pregnant. And I'm looking like, by who?
The drama keeps climbing as the judge asks why Daryl didn't sign the birth certificate. Things are getting tense, and Mrs. James is about to turn it up even more.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No. When the nurse came into the hospital room, he was at home, taking a shower, getting clothes. He only left the hospital for maybe 2.5 hours.
For the 2.5 hours he left was the one time came in with the birth certificate for him to execute?
Yes.
Mrs. James isn't done yet, and now she's accusing Ms. Beversdorf of ducking out of DNA tests. Mrs. James talks about trying to get a test done after Daryl, but Mrs. James swears she tried, and this whole scene is just one back and forth battle of who said what.
Now, I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
DNA, get no DNA
because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What
met
happened?
me nowhere. I didn't have that as
I
an
didn't have to meet
option.
you nowhere.
She
I
never
told you
called,
where the
she never
place
said
was.
anything.
Ms. James, take me through each time. You say 3 times.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things are about to get even messier as Mrs. James remembers a second DNA test attempt that ended in chaos. Ms. Beversdorf cuts in, claiming she didn't know anything about this plan. Mrs. James is relentless, setting the stage for even more accusations ahead.
Tell me about the second time you requested a DNA test.
She never requested it a
Yes, I
second
did.
time.
On a Monday, over the weekend or whatever, this particular second time, I asked her, hey, let's go to legal aid, help us, somebody to get us DNA so we can get Social Security started. We're supposed to do the test like Tuesday or Wednesday. I didn't see her till Friday.
Ms. Beversdorf is getting fired up now, saying she's absolutely sure Daryl is Dakari's dad, and she's fed up with Mrs. James doubting it. But just when it feels like they're going in circles, here comes a jaw-dropping new reveal.
And so you have no doubt in your mind Mr.
I wouldn't be
Stevens
here
is
if I did.
Dakari's biological father.
Well, I do.
Not one doubt. Well, that's why we're here, because she does.
We surely are.
We didn't get to the third time.
And
when is
listen,
the
why didn't
Your
she
Honor,
get
I
a
asked
contract
her-
with you? Why didn't she write you? Why was it all me? So determined to get a DNA test.
Ask her when did we go to the Social Security office together.
Brace yourself. Mrs. James drops a bomb by admitting that Ms. Beversdorf and Dakari are actually living with her right now. But wait, things are about to get even more complicated as Mrs. James explains why she wants the DNA results.
She lives with me in my home.
She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law,
It don't have nothing to do with that.
my son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do,
All right, here it is, the life-changing answer everyone's been waiting for.
The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
Whoa, this is already bonkers. Ms. Chmielinsky says she had a 5-year fling with Georgie, who sadly passed in a motorcycle accident, leaving behind their son Xavier. Get ready, this family mix-up is only just starting to heat up.
Ms. Chmielinsky, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son, Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son, Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents. Is that
All right, buckle up. This story just keeps getting wilder wilder. When Judge Lake asks about her connection to the defendants, Ms. Chmielewski says her son needs family because he already calls Georgie's mom Nana. Things are starting to get seriously tense, and you can feel the awkwardness in the room.
My son needs his family. He calls her Nana, and she's been in his life. We need answers. He has nobody.
Okay, let's keep it real, please.
Take me to the day you found out Georgie passed.
I was devastated, heartbroken, confused.
But why? I just making me understand one thing.
This part is totally eyebrow-raising. Mr. Long straight up says he doesn't believe this whole 5-year relationship thing and claims he's never even seen her at their house. Trust me, this story just keeps getting more tangled and confusing.
5-year relationship? Why don't I know about you?
Never heard of her.
I've never seen you at my house.
Did you ever ask Georgie why you haven't introduced me to your parents?
No, because we were just friends. It was like a sexual friendship that we had for.
So how did you find out
And
he
was he
passed
having a
away?
girlfriend? I know his
Yeah,
girlfriend.
no matter who we were with, we still had sexual relations.
You think this can't get crazier? Think again. Mrs. Brown says that 2 years later, a friend told them Xavier might be Georgie's kid, so she finally decided to dig into it. The crowd is definitely on edge, wondering where this is all going next.
What had happened was she says that this baby's Georgie's. 2 years passed. The only reason why I pursued this is because a friend of Georgie's told him, you need to find out if this baby is Georgie. So it's other people in the neighborhood must be saying something because he came to me after 2 years. He brought this to my attention.
It's like a ping pong match of feelings at this point. Judge Lake asks why they waited so long to get a DNA test, and Ms. Chmielewski explains she and Georgie tried to do a home DNA test but couldn't afford it before he died. The stakes keep rising as everyone realizes how messy this could get.
Because you feel like they don't know?
Want it to be George. She wants it to be Georgie.
He and Georgie was doing a home DNA test a couple months before he had passed, and we couldn't come up with the money. After, I think it was like 5 months, then he had passed away. So then that's when I went to the...
How old was Xavier when Georgie died?
He was 2 weeks before he turned 1.
Plot twist. Just when you thought things couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Chmielewski drops the bomb that there's one other possible father, a guy who was tragically eliminated when she was pregnant. Courtroom can hardly believe this new twist, and everyone's ready to see what's coming next.
It can't be.
So there's one other man besides Georgie.
No.
Did you ever tell the other guy?
He had passed away when I was 5 months pregnant. He had got murdered. A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond. Xavier turned 2, and they said if I come up with the money, then they'll do the test.
It's heating up, and we're talking major drama now. Ms. Chmielewski says she tells Xavier that Georgie is his dad, showing him videos and calling him daddy. This is getting deep, and everyone's wondering what the DNA test will reveal.
Miss Chmielewski, when you talk to Xavier about his father, he's 2 now. Do you talk to him about his father? Who do you tell him his father is?
I tell him Georgie's. That he watches his videos, and I say, you know, that's daddy.
He calls him daddy.
Because either way, Georgie told me no matter what the results were when he was alive, that he was going to be in his life.
And now for the part that had everyone saying, wait, what? Mrs. Brown brings up this wild ghost video that Ms. Chmielewski showed her, where Georgie's spirit supposedly appears. You can feel everyone wondering, did she just try to prove paternity with a ghost?
Hey. What about the video?
The spirit video.
The video you showed me.
So now tell me about this video you mentioned.
This video is when me and my friends were sitting in the car.
She's trying to convince that there's a video with a spirit of Georgie in the video.
Oh.
Because I feel like he is
this
drowned.
the video?
Like,
Hold on.
It's time to bring out the big guns. Judge Lake knows they're all waiting on the edge of their seats, so she reminds them they need this test for Xavier's future. This is the moment the whole room has been waiting for.
You understand, Miss Chmielewski, even if out of the kindness of her heart, even out of her grief, she says, just have the baby call me Nana. And the real truth is you don't know for certain. I have the results, and we can all find out for certain right now.
Boom, here comes the jaw dropper that leaves everyone in shock.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Brown and Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielewski is 0%.
Get ready, because this starts off intense and only gets wilder. We're barely a minute in, and already both sides look like they're about to throw down, and it's only getting started.
Miss Cameron, you tragically lost the love of your life 3 years ago and find yourself standing before me fighting to prove that he is your child's biological father. Furthermore, you claim you desperately need to determine paternity so that you can file for the death benefits to support your family.
Talk about family drama. Ms. Melvin goes into how her whole family is totally freaked out and and upset by what Ms. Cameron's doing. With emotions running high, it looks like this family feud is only going to heat up from here.
I'm speaking for myself as well as my family. Disturbed us all. My mom would have liked to be here today as well, but very distraught. She just couldn't face it to come. Just the whole situation of losing my brother as well. We lost him, and just the whole situation of her getting pregnant, it just doesn't add up.
You don't think this child is his?
I don't think it's his.
And now we're hitting scandal territory. It's a major bombshell, and you can feel the drama rising, especially as Ms. Cameron tries to keep her cool with Ms. Melvin's doubts piling up.
During this time, your brother's in a relationship with Ms. Cameron. You know about her, right?
Correct.
And so you still feel like she's trying to get something that isn't entitled to her?
Well, there's a couple things. He had came to me, it was a month, and I work an urgent care and I see a lot of stuff, so he told me. I said, are you sure he was like, man, I haven't done anything. I loved her.
This is one of the saddest and most intense parts so far. The whole courtroom feels the weight of her loss. But as sad as it is, the big paternity question is still hanging in the air, making everyone wait for more.
Miss Cameron, you said he passed away when you were 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, and we did not know the sex of the child.
Had you told anyone?
Yes, I told my best friend April, I told my mother, and I told my father. I don't know who he told, but I know that's the 3 people I told. Said wait for a couple days to make sure because it was a home pregnancy test that we took.
Just when we thought it couldn't get more complicated, here comes the timeline drama. With dates that don't seem to match up, Ms. Cameron is in for more challenges as they try to piece together what really happened.
So she's pregnant. I was taking her to her appointments. And I brought calendar to show you some things from when we went to the appointment on June 28th. So from June 28th, with her due date of her supposed to be getting pregnant, this would have been when she got pregnant. And my brother was not even around because me going to an appointment with her and
you went to the doctor with her on June 28th?
Yes.
And the doctor said she's 6 months pregnant?
Yes.
Things take a wild twist with this sign from beyond moment. It's a surprising, heartfelt moment, but Ms. Melvin isn't impressed, and it's clear she's still ready to throw down with more skepticism.
I have an ultrasound picture right here. I know this might sound crazy, but I posted it on Facebook. Okay, this is his face, like we're looking at each other. If you look in the eye, that is Jackie. Look at that bald-headed, and look at the bald-headed in the eyeball. And actually, there's another face right here that looks how fat Jackie's face was.
Cue another shocker, the mom's statement. Ms. Melvin brings in a signed note from her mom claiming she saw Ms. Cameron sneaking into a car with another guy before she got pregnant. With family members coming out with more accusations, the paternity mystery is only getting more tangled.
There was a time which I have a signed statement from my mom because they live next door to each other, like creeping around the corner to get to a car which was with another man.
I was in love with Jackie. I would have never cheated on Jackie.
And it says, I am testifying that I do not believe Malachi Rathard is my grandson because I know Miss Cameron cheated on my son shortly before she got pregnant.
The twists keep coming as Ms. Cameron's best friend steps up to defend her. But Ms. Melvin's not convinced, and the whole courtroom is on edge, waiting for those DNA results.
That Miss Cameron was cheating with this other guy?
No, Miss Melvin, she was not cheating. This is my best friend. It's been my best friend for 16 years. Date did occur. She came to me and she told me because she felt so guilty about it. Hung out, talked, went to the movies.
But how do you really know she didn't have sex?
I can only go off what my best friend has told me, and she's never, that to my knowledge, has lied to me before.
Here comes the moment of truth, and everyone is holding their breath.
It has been determined by this court. Miss Duhamel is related to Malachi Rathard.
Thank you! Now, do you believe me? I was being honest with you.
All right, buckle up because Ms. Kiles is bringing the drama right away. And just wait, because Ms. Light's about to drop some major accusations.
Ms. Kiles, you have opened your case to prove to the defendant that her deceased son, James, is your 14-month-old daughter, Ava's biological father. You state that you know the defendant is in pain due to the loss of her son, but so are you.
Ms. Light comes in swinging, calling Ms. Kiles a liar and saying she can't trust her one bit on this whole James is the dad story. And get ready, because what she says next will hit you right in the feels.
Ms. Light, you say Ms. Kiles is a pathological liar, and you claim that as much as you would love for a piece of your son to be here, you don't trust that baby Ava belongs to him.
Oh man, tissues out. Judge Lake asks Ms. Light if she loves Ava, and she breaks down, calling Ava her heart. Next up, she'll explain why she's so suspicious.
Ava's 14 months old.
Correct.
Have you formed a bond with her?
Yes, that's my heart. My son was raising her. If she wasn't with my son, she was with me. But
the doubt is still eating away at you.
It's killing me. It was just a lot going on.
Get ready for some soap opera levels. Ms. Light recalls a time when James called to connect with Ava, but some random dude picked up and said he was Ava's dad. And as these two moms keep going, the room's about to get even more heated.
He came to me so many times, hurt after he moved her to Oklahoma and got everything furnished. Another man answered the phone and tried to claim to be Ava's father and be in her life now and all this other stuff.
That's a lie. So another man answered the phone and told your son Ava's father, and I'm in her life now.
Things are messy as Ms. Kiles talks about drama over who could come into her house, a big point of tension when she and James were still together. And believe me, the room's about to get real heavy with the next part of her story.
You were having relationship issues in terms of boundaries. Take me to the point at which Ava was born. Was Mr. Miller with you at the hospital?
No, it was just me and my 2-year-old daughter.
Did you call him to say baby's being born?
No, he would have been there. That's something he would have never wanted to miss.
And this next part's like something straight out of an action movie. Ms. Light describes how James got shot while Ava was in the car, and somehow, miraculously, a bullet missed Ava by just inches. And Judge Lake, she's about to dig into the real deal with James's fatherhood.
All I know is something happened, some girls arguing, and another guy came and shot my son. And the girl tells me that all she could do was pull him into the car and drive off. And they kept shooting, so I know it was God, but I don't know what stopped the bullet hole from hitting my grandbaby other than God. Because it was a bullet hole that either the door or her car seat stopped it from hitting her.
Now, it's time for some heartfelt family talk. Ms. Light says her family took in Ava like she was totally one of their own, and you won't believe what she suspects next.
And so your son was raising her. He was her dad. She was in the car with your son.
Yes, just came and got her from me.
So you all were raising this baby. Like, this is your biological grandchild, this is your son's child, and he had her name tattooed on his face.
Ava.
Did he ever tell you that her legal name was Skylar?
No.
Ms. Light is practically crying as she talks about how James would buy all of Ava's essentials, even asking his mom to do her hair for special events because he was so proud. But wait till you hear what she says next. It's a plot twist.
He did everything for his baby. Cash, milk, everything for that baby, everything. For Memorial Day, he asked me, he brought her clothes and stuff over there. Mama, can you do her hair in a couple of ponytails? Because he didn't allow nobody to touch her hair. Couldn't touch them curls. And she hung out with Grandma. She was with me.
All right, here's where things get weird. Judge Lake asks about another guy who Ms. Light says looks kinda like James, and apparently this dude was seen with Ava. And let's just say, things are about to get even more intense.
And you believe she has a different name because another man is her biological father?
Yeah, I think it's possible. The situation where she said it never happened, where some man answered the phone, some tatted over his eyes.
And so you felt like the guy looked similar to your son?
Somewhat, not as handsome, but...
Emotions are sky high as Ms. Light explains she's trying to confirm Ava's paternity to honor her late son and make sure Ava gets the family name. Hold tight, the DNA results are about to hit.
She didn't have to get that baby away because that baby would have been and is well taken care of. I just want that to be my grandbaby so we can do the right thing and get her name what it's supposed to be, Ava Jashay Miller. And that meant so much to my son, and that's why I know it, because I lost a daughter and her name Ashaya.
Judge Lake gives Ms. Kiles a final chance to share anything new, but she's cool and calm, saying she's already told her truth. What's coming next could change everything.
Ms. Kiles, I'm about to go to the results. Before I do, I just want to make sure that there is not any other piece of testimony that you've left out that you would like to share or you feel like you need to share.
No, Your Honor. I said my truth.
I think it's time we get the results. Jerome?
Here it is, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Light and Skylar Ava is 99%. You are related.
You wouldn't believe this one, folks. It's like a soap opera right from the start. The audience is locked in, and you know things are about to get messy with both sides ready to rumble.
Ms. Mayo, you're here today because you filed a paternity suit against Mr. Brown, who you claim is your 2-month-old fraternal twins, Chloe and Carter's biological fathers. You say when today's results prove your case, you want him to pay you $1,000 for half of the child-rearing expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
This backstory is bonkers. How did they get here? Mr. Brown says he hasn't paid a single dime, because he doesn't think he's the dad, claiming she trapped him, whatever that means. This was no ordinary friendship, and with every new detail, it just gets crazier.
Mr. Brown, is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I don't believe they my children.
I don't know why you feel like that and you know they're yours.
For one, I feel like she trapped me.
I never trapped. How did I trap him? I didn't want to have no child with you. So I wish I would have never got pregnant.
Why was you messing with me from the beginning? Why was you messing with me from the beginning?
Because at first we was friends. Why you putting on the show? Before any of this happened, we was friends.
Here's where the story goes off the rails a little more. This is truly some high-level drama. Judge Lake's eyebrows raise as these two argue over who said what. If you thought things were tense before, just wait.
We had a talk. I told her to go get on birth control.
You never told me that.
We going from the birth control. One day, I'm at her house, we just kicking it, you know what I mean? That she can't have no children. Her last child was never supposed to be here. How the doctor told her that she would never have children again. When she presented me with all this, I feel like I'm safety net. I got a safety zone, like, okay, she can't have children.
Now it's time for Mr. Brown's very interesting reasons why he thinks he's not the dad. Judge Lake gives him a side eye as he tries to explain his eyebrow suspicions.
So what is your doubt?
They don't look like me, for one. I got very distinct features.
Everybody in America knows that when newborns are born, they don't look like no one. Wonder what this is.
As you can see, I got very thick eyebrows. This is a distinct feature
they
of
was
me.
Just born. Look at Chloe's eyebrows. Look at Chloe right now.
This me, thick eyebrows. This them.
This is getting good. This part is both sad and awkward because Mr. Brown doesn't even know that one of the twins, Chloe, was born deaf. This whole scene is intense, and it really feels like Judge Lake is about to give him a serious talking to.
He don't even know what's going on with Chloe. Chloe was born deaf. He don't know that. He don't know nothing. My child can't hear. Man, you can at least be there. I'm here with them 24/7 by myself. My child is deaf. Can't hear nothing at all. And you ain't doing nothing. When you find out today, are you gonna help do this? I gotta take sign language class. Do you know, man, you don't understand what I go through.
Get ready to feel broke just listening to this part. It's all about the bills. The price tag makes everyone stop for a second, and you can see Mr. Brown start to sweat as it's starting to feel very real.
Okay, that's my expenses, from their car seats, they strollers, clothes, bills, everything.
And you've been doing this by yourself?
Yes, ma'am. They're formula. They both on different milk.
So we've got clothes, baby needs, milk, toiletry, totaling $2,000, which is why you're suing Mr. Brown for $1,000 because he would be responsible for half if he's in fact the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's the big reveal, folks, and everyone is on the edge of their seats. Seriously, it's intense.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Oh, buckle up, because this case starts with fireworks and finger pointing from the get-go. Meet Ms. Everyone in the courtroom is watching, wide-eyed, as this emotional train pulls out of the station.
Ms. Sherman, you claim the defendant is taking advantage of your grieving aunt emotionally and financially by claiming your deceased brother is her child's father. You need today's results because you won't allow your aunt to support a child who is not your brother's.
Plot twist alert. Ms. Costello stands up, and she's not here for Ms. Sherman's accusations. With every word, you can feel the plot thickening like gravy at Thanksgiving.
My aunt threw Marissa a baby shower, supports this baby financially, as in buying his diapers, his clothes. If he has a doctor's appointment, she is there, and that's not right if she doesn't know the baby is his.
Your Honor, that's his family. Erica was there with me at the hospital.
We don't know
when I had the baby, and when Ryan was born, she saw the crown of his head and said he is a Sherman.
Now, Ms. Sherman's aunt is on the stand, and oh boy, she's letting her emotions pour out. Meanwhile, Ms. Sherman's skepticism is about to hit a serious test.
When I seen the crown of that baby's head, and I just started crying. I said, that's my baby. It don't replace him, but having him in my life, it helps me deal with him not being here. I need him to be Ryan's, because I can't say what will happen if it comes back that he's not, because that baby means so much to me.
Ms. Sherman's doubt is no joke. It's like she's building a wall, one doubt at a time, while the room waits to see who will break first.
For one, Your Honor, my brother told me that he doubted the baby because he wasn't for sure if Marissa was actually pregnant, and then he wasn't for sure if the baby was his. I'm not saying even that this is not my brother's baby. I love him, but I'm not finna get attached to a baby if I don't know, because I can't do that for me. I can't sit here and be like, that's a part of my brother, and then it end up not. But when we were in college, Your Honor, they were both unfaithful.
If you thought things were messy before, wait until you hear about Ms. Costello's love life with Ryan. It's a tangled web of love, hurt, and mistrust, and every detail adds another puzzle piece that makes everyone squint just a little harder at this story.
I found out I was pregnant in the middle of March. At that point in time, I contacted Ryan and I told him, hey, you know, I think I'm pregnant. And at that point in time, he was like, well, is this my kid? It was a slap in the face because I know he had room for doubt because when we broke up in the beginning of January, I started to talk to somebody else. He started to talk to somebody else. After me and the other guy had intercourse with each other.
Tensions are sky high as Ms. Sherman gets feisty with Ms. Costello over her dating history. It's a ping pong of accusations until Judge Lake steps in with a cool it, ladies, and shifts the focus back to the facts.
You just said you were sleeping with somebody else.
I know, but at the same time, I knew for the fact Ryan was the very last person that I slept with.
I never said Ryan was a saint. Y'all was both sleeping with other people. How you got no doubt you were sleeping with somebody else the next week?
You look at my son and you look at Ryan Jr., resemblance. When you look at Ryan Jr.'s baby pictures and you look at my son.
He doesn't look like my brother.
With emotions in the danger zone, Judge Lake takes the reins. This calculator just added a whole new layer of maybe to the mix. The tension is now so thick, you could spread it on toast.
So the best way to figure this out to go to my conception calculator.
Baby Ryan's birthday is October 27th, 2017.
I put that birth date in, October 27, 2017, and press calculate. Calculates the window of conception as February 1st to February 5th, and the date of intercourse between January 29th and February 5th.
If you were hoping things would calm down, nope. Ms. Sherman and Ms. Costello are practically nose to nose, clashing over who has the right to claim this child. But let's be real, the emotions are on full display, and everyone in the room can feel it.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Yep. Because if I have doubts that is my brother's baby, I still want to be there.
Now, it's Ms. Sherman's aunt's time to shine, and she drops a little bombshell of her own. With every word, her belief in this bond grows stronger, and the drama in the room only deepens.
After my nephew died, and she was honest with me because she know me. I don't pick sides. And baby girl just tell me the truth. I know exactly when she said she had sex with Ryan. Then she told me she had sex with Ryan. She had sex with the boy at the beginning of January. Used her was she had a period in January, but didn't have a period in February. So she was confused.
Ms. Sherman is now wrestling with the possibility that her brother may not be this child's father. It's a gut-wrenching moment, and her raw emotions are setting the stage for what's coming. And now, the big moment.
Unfortunately, Ryan passed away before baby Ryan was born.
Yes.
Have you even considered that if this baby is not your biological family member, what will you do?
Honestly, I don't know. I have a bond with that baby.
The DNA test results are in, and bam!
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Nalencia Sherman and Ryan Costello Sherman is 97.8%. You are related.
Yes! Yes!